That's it. I am no longer buying incentives. Well, I'm just no longer pre-ordering them. Hey there, today I have an unboxing video, and this order sort of represents my new strategy when it comes to picking up retailer incentives. My old strategy really was about pre-ordering as many as I could find. It was really not so much around that incentive that spoke to me for some reason, or there was speculation. It was really the thrill of finding it for below ratio. I would pre-order my retailer incentives from Things from Another World. I've recently canceled my subscriptions with them, and I really don't anticipate buying from them in the future. I have really appreciated and loved their service. Their customer support has been great, but the recent increase of, I believe it was the post FOC pre-release date discount dropped to 10%. And there were times where even after FOC, I was able to pre-order books because I just forgot about them, or maybe there was some additional speculation that picked up. For whatever reason, you were allowed to still pre-order books from Things from Another World, but they increased the price by reducing the discount to 10%. Now, that wasn't really a huge factor in my decision making. It was really more of just the overall cost of everything continuing to increase. The shipping, the taxes, the bags and board, the bag and board service, all of that. And when I realized just over time, I was paying a lot of money for a new release. And when it came to incentives, when it looked like I was getting a 1 in 25 for just under $18, it was closer, in fact, to that $25 price tag. I have, over time, been stuck with a lot of incentives. And by stuck, I mean stuck. Like, I can't move them. You can find them all over the place. And often, TIFA will give you like a 50% flash sale or something on these incentives that they weren't able to move. But I fell victim to sort of feeling like I had access to books that most people didn't. And with Things from Another World, if you're quick on the draw, you can search for and find incentives to pre-order. But like I said, I was just pre-ordering whatever I could find, because that one retailer incentive that I really, really wanted, I couldn't get, or it was just super rare. Maybe one out of every 2 or 3 months was I able to really track down that ratio book that I knew was going to pop, and it did pop, and I was so thankful and grateful that TIFA had it and I was able to pre-order it. My new strategy going forward is to basically stay off the TIFA website altogether, and that forces me to really, really think about whether or not I want to spend the money on that incentive. There are lots of different sources now that I use for looking at incentives. Nothing really earth-shattering here. Certainly you can look at eBay, and I'm not suggesting that pre-ordering incentives off of eBay is the right move. I believe that's a whole other rant or discussion. But what I've noticed is the Shopify-based stores. So these are your shops like Unknown Comics, and that's Unknown Comic Books is where I place this order that I'm going to open up here in a minute. And what I've noticed is that for certain incentives, I think the ones that they kind of are keen on, the books being popular, they will offer them up in a pre-sale or pre-order fashion. Again, you have to be quick. You have to know which books you're looking for. And a lot of times just using a good old Google search will help you figure out where that book is. Within the Google search results, you'll even see a stock status. So a lot of times I'll search for a book, half the results will say out of stock, and I just keep going and go on to the second and the third and the fourth page until I'm able to kind of figure out which sources have the book that I'm looking for, and then I just do a price comparison, look at the store history, my customer experience, my order history there, and all of that, and then just kind of pull the trigger and make the call if that's what I want to get. So the basic, too long didn't read, summarized version is stop buying any incentive that you can find because you think you're getting a deal or you think that there'll be some sort of demand on it, and really save that money and apply it to the incentive that you really want. And in this unboxing, it's a perfect example of a book that I knew when I was looking at FOC and I was looking at some of the variants for some of these books at FOC, probably close to 6 weeks ago. I knew I wanted this book. I knew I was going to have to pay for it. However, what I told myself is you could have this book or you could have, 6 or 7 different Berserker retailer incentives. And it just, the choice was very, very clear at that point. So let me unbox this order of comic books from Unknown Comics, and I can show you that one retailer incentive that I was able to pre-order with them. All right, here we go. This is the order I placed with Unknown Comic Books, and placed it back in March for a few books, plus one that they had as kind of a pre-sale. So let's go ahead and open this up and see what is inside. All right, nice Gemini mailer. Love it. No tape. All right. So I'm a little nervous here. There's a little bit of tape holding this together. But it looks like I have escaped the tape monster. Wow, it's a pretty... it's not that many comic books, but I just, from the weight of it, I can kind of just tell they did take a little extra care in putting this together, as I hoped that they would. So there are 5 comics in this order. Get rid of the bubble wrap here. And let me explain something too, because I realized when I was talking about I'm no longer pre-ordering incentives, and now I've got an order where I've pre-ordered an incentive. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense. What I meant was, with Things from Another World, the problem with their interface is that if you're searching for a particular incentive, you have to search their website, and it's either there in stock or it's not. Or sometimes it shows in stock, but the indexing on the site is horrible. And it's very frustrating, and it's frustrated me for several years now how that works. And I have to kind of rely on Twitter and looking at raw data files and doing all this crazy stuff just to figure out if I can potentially find an incentive that I want with TFA. So I've eliminated that frustration. And what I'm going to do is try to see if some of these stores who are starting to sell some of the, again, more visible, more attractive, more highly sought after incentives, these stores are becoming way more savvy, and they understand that this is a book that's in demand now as a pre-order, and it's going to be in demand after. So they end up putting the book up for sale. So I do apologize for a little bit of that confusion there. And then the plan B is to just look in the secondary market, look at eBay, or even some of these stores will go ahead and put the incentive back up. Dark Dominion Comics is one. They'll put up a 1 in 25 up for $50, $60, $65, $75, because they realize the book has increased in value. The Captain Carter Marvel animation, the variant cover, essentially that 1 in 25. I got a second copy from Dark Dominion. So it's possible, if you can time it right, that some of these books after release will show up in the secondary market. But I feel like over time I'm saving money by targeting specific incentives instead of just randomly playing the pre-order game with TFA. So hopefully that makes sense. If it still doesn't, again, my logic may be a little insane, but hopefully it comes across. Okay, let's get to the comics here. So the tape monster has returned. It did attach itself to some of the books. So let me carefully get rid of these. So what I did was I ordered, again, I always try and, I guess, create a centerpiece with every order, but then I start to look at some other books that I would like to also have in the order. And I want to save the big book for last. But let me see if I can very carefully get the tape off of the rest. So let's talk about the 4 books before we get to this one. Hulk number 6. So I got pulled into the whole Titan madness. I fell for it again, just like Lucy holding my football. It was Donnie holding the football again, and I went to kick it and missed it. However, did like this cover. What I ended up doing is I took advantage of the Unknown Comics. It was like a buy 3 get 1 free sort of scenario, or buy 2 get 1 free. There's always some sort of discount. I think Unknown and 616, they both were running like a buy 3 get 3 free. So there's always something to do with exclusives, but I look at exclusives for some of these books. So Hulk 6, there was some attention that was coming about on this book, and went ahead and wanted to grab an exclusive of that issue that was picking up heat. So hopefully that makes it. I feel like I'm not making sense, but hopefully that makes sense. So this is Hulk 6. Then another book that was getting some attention for, I think, the right reasons. I don't want to say the wrong reasons. Like one particular speculator was pushing this specific book. I noticed that Star Wars High Republic number 10 was becoming interesting because I sold my copy for a lot less. So I had, well, it was the cover B, I think it was the Janty variant. And this is kind of what I talk about too, is if books are selling out everywhere, like for some reason everybody's scooping up a particular issue. If it's an issue that's come out in the last 5 years, check stores, check their backstock, check for exclusives. I was able to get High Republic number 10, the variant, and the Virgin cover at a very affordable price. Like now, the argument could be made that people want cover A or B because it features a certain character. But I think with the character appearing inside and the storyline, there was when I just unboxed Venom 9, that was an interesting one. For the longest time, that Venom 9 cover A, first Dylan Brock, was the one to get, and the store exclusives fell behind for some reason. And the store exclusive covers I thought were better, or at least just as good as the Stegman cover A. So like the Venom 9 has the Philip Tan cover. I don't know why we're staring at Star Wars. I'm talking about Venom. But the Philip Tan one, I think, is a great book. It's a great cover. I have a copy. I think it's like a 9496. And I looked up the values, and the Philip Tan one, I think, has finally overtaken the cover A, or is at least on par now. So the whole like exclusive kind of up and down, it kind of rides the wave, and it's almost like in an inverse style when it comes to the standard cover. So High Republic 10 popped a couple months back. Somebody bought my copy. I think they got a bargain, and sort of when that happens, I FOMO on myself, and Unknown Comics had this book. So not only do they have it, they've got plenty of these. I think it's a great cover. I think it's the art is fantastic. And with these, of course, with Unknown, in most of the Shopify stores, they say it's a guaranteed 9.2 or above, so there's no guarantee of it being a 9.8. Okay, the last one here before we get to the big one, Sandman Universe Nightmare Country number 1. This is the 1 in 25. This was selling at ratio for a pre-order of $25. All right, so Unknown Comics shipped this in a very, very rigid top holder, which I appreciate. And again, just like all the other books, there is no guarantee that this is a 9.8. It certainly could be a 9.2 up to a 9.8, and we shall see. And here is that book that I was able to order from Unknown Comics that I wasn't able to find on Things from Another World. Sandman universe, Nightmare Country #1, and this is the Jenny Frison 1 in 100 variant. Now, I want to open this up and I want to grade it. I am going to put some gloves on because I'm nervous about sweating all over this book. This book has taken off in value. I paid quite a bit for it as is, and I knew that I felt like in a worst case scenario, it was going to hold at the price that I purchased it for, and I'd be fine with that. In an even much worse case scenario, the book wouldn't be popular and the price would fall and people would have these and I would scoop them up for a lot less and I'd still be happy because I love Sandman. I love the character Death from Sandman. Again, the love for Tinian, Jenny Frison, and it's got this like black and white and pinkish hue to it. Like there's just something about this that's just amazing. I can't believe I'm actually holding this book. So I'm going to put the gloves on. I'm going to open the book. We're going to grade it and just see what kind of quality I got from Unknown Comics. Okay, gloves are on. Like I said, I am a big-time sweater here, so especially when I'm handling books like this that I'm hoping are in high grade. And I assume this is a cardstock or glossy cover as well. So let's take a look. All right, so right there is your spine tick, right off the jump. So right in there, that's unfortunate. And it is what it is. So not a 9.8 right there. It is possible that if that's the only defect, it is possible to squeeze out a 9.8. I would say it's oddly not color breaking. It's kind of weird. It's just the white that you see that's being picked up. It's like a little bump. It's kind of weird. It's hard to describe, but it's not necessarily color breaking, just slightly. So it is possible it could still get a 9.8, but the rest of the book would have to be absolutely perfect. So let's take a look here. Corner from the front side looks okay. It is cardstock, so I'm, pretty much, not that it's guaranteed, but you'd expect it to be sharp like that. This corner down here as well is looking pretty good. And this corner, I'd say is borderline, but I think it's acceptable. It's fine. Just very, very minor splitting down in there. But really gorgeous cover. I think if you're holding it like, so right kind of off the light, like you can't really pick up that, I don't even know if it's a spine tick. It's almost like a thread or something. It just got smushed. I'm still giving it a 9.6 unless I find other defects on it. So that's too bad. But let's look at the back. The corner from the back is, let's see, it's just coming off the book slightly. I can kind of push it back a little bit, but it's definitely split. Sometimes that happens with the cardstocks. And up there, I think it's okay. And no, there aren't any scratches anywhere. The spine on the back looks really, really nice. Let's get it in the light there. So yeah, there's no weird cardstock dents or anything. Unfortunately, it's just right there on the front. I think that's the only defect. I would say either tied with it or secondarily, it is that bottom corner. You can see it more from the back right there. But I would say that's standard manufacturer splitting. But still, I can't give it a 9.8. However, I'm still going to submit this to CGC. Even if it's a 9.6, I don't care. I want it hung up on the wall. I think it's gorgeous. It may be my favorite Frison cover ever. I'm not sure. There's a lot to look at and review, but simply fantastic. So again, it's a shift in strategy here for me, where I'm trying to really think about make a stronger decision on a book. I really have to challenge myself to say, do I really, really want this book? Would I purchase it elsewhere? on the secondary market? Would I pay full ratio for it? Because sometimes these books, like I said, I get caught up in the fact that I can find it. I can find a 1 in 25 for 17.49, but then after tax and all the other things, it ends up being basically $25. If it's a book I really want, sometimes even aftermarket, I'd have to pay double ratio. And then I look at it and just go, it's just not worth the trouble. And then I find a book like Nightmare Country #1, the 1 in 100, and it's not that money's no object, but I just know that I could eventually get my money back on this. I feel like it's going to pop, it's going to hit. There's so many things going for it. And I think in the secondary market right now, there's been some chatter. Has the book peaked? Is it really at that peak $300 or $350? I'm not sure. But it's certainly possible that is maybe where it's going to level off. I mean, it could maybe fall back down to double ratio, but I mean, I'll take that. That's fantastic. So I would just say, for me personally, as I watch some of the, and I call them Shopify-based stores, but again, it's all that kind of similar UI, online comic book store experience. They're all kind of doing the same thing. They're all kind of gambling that a particular incentive is going to be worth it, and they'll offer it as a pre-order. And those interfaces, it's really about a guarantee. Whereas TIFA, it's a constant headache of checking for books. And if you can find that incentive on one of those other online sources, you're paying extra, but they're locked in. It's locked in and guaranteed. And this is a good experience for me too, because I was certain they were going to cancel my order. And good on Unknown Comics, they fulfilled it and sent it with my other books. We'll have to wait, 6 months to figure out if that one little thread or spine related issue, I don't know if they would count that as manufacturing or not, and give it a 9.8, but this is definitely going in my next order, in my next batch, and I guess we'll find out when I do that unboxing months down the road. So there you go. What is your strategy for incentives? Do you stay away? Do you like them? Do you still buy incentives and exclusives? Are you moving away from one or the other or both? I'd love to know what your strategy is. There's a lot of great sources for incentives, and I'll be sharing those with you as I kind of change what my process is here and how I look for books, and let you know all these great places online that I'm getting great comics from. I'll be sure to share them with you. There you go. Thank you for watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.